Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Rest of Aquarimax here. Sorry about the lighting. We're having a little issue with the lighting today. Trying to keep your kitten away from the ice cream. Okay. See Tobias and Tim and Aries, Sean Meister, Frank the Tank, Yotaro, Tobias. 503, Laura Taylor. Naeem, is that how you say your name? Naeem Salahuddin. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Welcome. Cameron, hello. Can you all hear me? Just waiting for confirmation that the microphone is working. Okay, good. Steve is here as well. Okay, everybody's hearing. I see Wendy is here. Great. All right, so sorry about the lighting. One of the lights kicked out, which makes me look really weird. So that's fun. Sorry about the lighting. I'm going to try to get it fixed. It looks like I'm going to need a new softbox. The softbox itself seems to have a short in it, so that's sad. I'm gonna have to save up for one of those. That's kind of sad. Okay, so I see Snails Ford and Therapod Hunter here as well. So I've got some fun things for you to talk about. First of all, I would like to talk about some things that are coming up in October. Okay, so oh, I see the Pets is here. Oh, sorry to hear your salamander that Speckles passed away. The Pets. That is sad. Sorry for your loss. What was I? Where was I on? Okay, yes, okay. I was talking about some things that are going on. I see Gabe's here as well. Therapod Hunter, did I mention that? Welcome. A couple of things that are going on, besides the fact that I feel really ridiculous in this lighting. Maybe that's a little bit better. We'll see how that goes. There's Tennyson and Rodney. Garter's doing really well. Looks like all my melanistics are up to breeding size, and we're going to be starting brumation in about 2 months, I guess. We'll start the brumation cycle by stopping the feedings in approximately 2 months. So yeah, everybody's doing well and excited for some melanistic babies in the spring. I'm actually going to make a video probably about my my breeding projects with my snakes, because I'm doing some things I haven't done before, not limited to the melanistics, as far as my garter pairings this next spring. So I'm gonna make a video about that, probably in October sometime, late October maybe. Tobias, how's the tarantula? Doing well. I think she's just about, well, I say she, I don't really know yet, hoping it's a female. She's about to go into pre-molt, or is going into pre-molt. I mean, I believe, because I fed Grover on, I think it was August 28th, and that was fine. It worked well. Took the cricket and everything, and then I offered another cricket yesterday, and there was no interest. And that generally with Dolichothele diamantinensis often means they're about to go into molt. And I looked at the schedule, and it's about time for them. It's been about 5 weeks since their last molt, and they molt pretty frequently. Then they're this young, and so I'm hoping that that's what we're going to get, is another molt, because it has molted once since the last video that I posted, and is looking really blue. But the next molt will get some even more blue, I think. Yeah, I'm excited too. I was talking to Don about the melanistics and how big they were, and he's like, "Yeah, they should be ready." And the females are starting to bulk up a little bit. They're not huge yet. They're not huge yet, but they're getting bigger. Round one, you have big garter snakes all over your backyard and pill bugs in your basement shower. So Tobias, yeah, pink toe. Okay, that's, I've never kept very many. I've only kept one tarantula, but hopefully your pink toe will get to be eating soon. So sorry about that alarm going off there. That was not cool. It was actually to remember to tell you something, so I have to remember to tell you something. Some cool news for October. Okay, I've got um, 3 bits of cool news that I'll share with you right now. One is that on the 14th of October, and this will be probably more exciting for those of you who are local, but I am going to the Wasatch Reptile Expo, and I will be there. Hope to see those of you who are local there at the expo. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I always enjoy meeting you and those of you who are able to come, getting to meet you there and catch up with you if I've met you before. So that's fun. Also, the next week, and that will be, just to make sure I'm getting my dates right. Yeah, the 20th and 21st, we have something really special coming on, and that is Clint's Reptile Room grand opening is on the 20th and the 21st, and I will be there both days, and so will lots of other folks, reptile and related YouTubers and that sort of thing, to help Clint celebrate, and Clint and the whole Clint's Reptile team celebrate this really cool thing, the grand opening. So I'm not sure if there are any tickets left for those of you who might want to attend. I know there are going to be people coming from all over to attend, but I'm excited to be there. It'll be really fun. So looking forward to hopefully meeting some of you there on the those 2 days, the 20th and the 21st of October. Also working out for that month, and haven't for sure nailed down a date, but we think we have a date for Jessica from the PDX Insectarium, or the Portland Insectarium, is going to be on the live stream. So we got to go to Sky Island Adventures together this past August, and that was a lot of fun. And I asked her if she would be willing to come onto the show and talk to us about the Insectarium and so on, and related topics. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So that's at least 3 cool things that are going to happen in October. So yeah, hopefully we will. I'll have some more details with you for you as things go along. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about was something from Kyle Candelian at Roach Crossing. Okay, and so if those of you who are familiar with Kyle, and I know some of you are, I know Tennyson, for example, I see you in the live streams. I usually am not able to attend the live streams very often, but once in a while I'll get into there. But I generally do watch the dead streams or the replays. And I see that you're in there a lot, Tennyson, as well, and probably some of the others of you are in there as well. So Kyle Candelian from roachcrossing.com is looking for some pure isopod stock, and he contacted me, and I said I would be totally happy to kind of spread the word here on the live stream and probably in some other places as well. But just to start out, I want to do it here. So this is kind of a cool situation. Kyle is offering a bounty for certain isopod lines if they are pure stock, and that it is, you can prove to his satisfaction that they are indeed pure stock of some specific isopods. So thank you, Frank, for anticipating what I needed to ask and putting roachcrossing.com a link there. So if you go to roachcrossing.com, that Frank has linked right there in the chat, and you just email Kyle if you have any of the following isopods. Okay, this is what he's looking for. He's got 3 specifically he's looking for. 2 of them are Armadillidium vulgare lines. One of them is the pennyback gold line, but it's not just the pennyback gold line. It has to be pure pennyback gold. So Bill Iannone is, or I don't know how you pronounce his last name, if it's Iannone or Iannone or whatever. He's the one who isolated the pennyback gold strain. I believe it was in Texas where he collected them, if I'm not wrong. It's been a while. I remember reading about it when he did it. If you have pennyback gold that you got preferably straight from Bill, and you can certify that they're not mixed with any other strains of Armadillidium vulgare, then Kyle will pay for some stock, and he will pay well for some of that stock. So that's the first one, pennyback gold. The other one, or one of the other ones, the other Armadillidium vulgare, is the original import of Punta Cana. Now I have Punta Cana stock, but the Punta Cana stock that I have from two sources. One is from a pet store that's fairly local to me, and when I bought them, they were labeled as Armadillidium sordidum Punta Cana, because at the time it was thought that Punta Cana was actually Armadillidium sordidum, but it was later demonstrated that they are vulgare. At any rate, because they come from a pet store, I can't certify their purity, so I can't really turn this in for the bounty for Kyle. I also have another line from Tanner Steinbrook, and his it's a really cool line because he's been focusing on high contrast, and he's been breeding them selectively. I may be able to turn that line in, but I would have to trace it. So I'd have to contact Tanner and say, okay, where did you get your line, and find out where he got it from. And then I could possibly do that, but I'd have to research it before I could do that. But because it's going to pass through more than one hand, and Tanner might say, oh, I got it from this other isopod vendor, and it might go back 5 or 6, who knows how many times. If on the other hand, Tanner was able to show, oh, I got it directly from the original import of Punta Cana, and here's how I can show you that, we might have something we could do there. Then the last one, he has a bounty on Porcellio scaber whiteout. They need to have come from Kyle. And then basically, once again, you need to demonstrate that they're not compromised genetically with anything else. And the reward for 12 individuals of the whiteout Porcellio scaber is $1,000. So if you are able to demonstrate, yep, I got these from you, Kyle, this is when I got them, this is how I can demonstrate that they have not been compromised genetically by any other Porcellio scaber lines, he will pay you $1,000 for 12 individuals. And I believe, it looks like, when I read through his email, that the bounty is the same for, and I could be wrong, but it looks like the bounty is the same for the Punta Cana and for the pennyback gold. They just have to be certifiable, pure lines. So if you have anything like that, or someone who does, there you go. So please spread the word as well. If you want to spread the word on maybe some isopod groups, or just among your isopod keeping friends, people who might be interested in that keep isopods, please do. Please spread that around. So yeah. So, and Tobias, yeah, he said, Kyle said that someone had reached out, said I might have pennyback gold. So maybe that was you. So cool. If anybody, just keep that in mind, pass that around. So there we go. I'd love to help Kyle out, and I'd love to help one of you out by getting you that bounty. So that'd be cool. Theropod hunter, would Amazon milk frogs be a good beginner frog? I have never kept them, so I don't really feel like I could say a whole lot on the topic. They seem cool, but that's about all I can say. You could get a lot of waffles with that, Frank. Yeah. Ramingo, hello. And thank you again, Frank, for putting the Roach Crossing link up there. By the way, in the description to this video, I have a link not only to Kyle's website, roachcrossing.com, I also have a link to the grand opening for Clint's Reptiles for more information about that, and to sign up or get tickets if there are still any left. And I mentioned the Wasatch Reptile Expo. I don't think I put a link. I think I ran out of time and didn't put a link there. But if you're going to be in the area and you want to come say hi at the Wasatch Reptile Expo, I'd love to see you. Destruction Warehouse and Aftech, hello. So Ramingo, do I recommend blue death feeding beetles as a beginner bug? Sure, they can be a pretty good one. What do they eat and need? Well, just to give you the quick rundown, I've got mine in a 20-gallon aquarium with 2-layer substrate, 2-tier substrate, whatever you want to call it. It's largely organic matter down at the bottom, and then I've got sand at the top. And I will come back in just a second because I noticed that Mike Fernandez just sent a super chat, or yeah, it's a super chat. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate the support. I will put that towards getting my lights fixed because I really need that. So one of these lights costs something like $30–40, and I am stuck with half my lighting system right now. So I appreciate that, and that's where it's going to go. I need to get that light as soon as I can. But thank you. So let me go to finish answering your question. That substrate that I got was from US Invertebrate LLC, and it seems to be a really good substrate. I've been using it for a while now. The idea with that is that you can keep the bottom somewhat moist and the top dry. So I moisten one corner at least once a week, usually once or twice a week, one specific corner of the enclosure. Because it's a 20-gallon vivarium and I have a halogen spotlight on one side, on the left side, I can get a thermal gradient in there. So, excuse me, the hot spot is like mid 80s, and then around that hot spot, it's in the like around 80. It fades out until it's around 80, and then it goes into the 70s. And on the other side of the tank, it gets down into the 70s, low mid 70s, and that's how the thermal gradient works. They do respond well to a thermal gradient. Oh, I see we got another couple of super chats. That's awesome. I see Tobias sent a super chat. See if we could get my light fixed by the end of this stream. That would be fantastic. And 503 also sent one for the same thing. Help the light fix. So that's, what is that? That's $30, around $30 to get the light fixed. So 10 more dollars and we've got it. We'd be done. We could do this. I could get this lamp and fix my light for hopefully for next week. If I order it today, I can get it fixed. So that would be fantastic. Thank you so much to all three of you, Mike, 503, and Tobias. So the things that I was going to talk about with the beetles, we talked about the substrate. It's good to have hides of various types. I like to use things like desert aged wood, oh, we got Random T just sent a super chat as well. $10 Canadian, which is awesome. I think we're close. I think I'm just about there where we can get the lights. So thank you, everyone. That was fast. That was awesome. I really appreciate it. So next week, when we have the live stream and you'll see my lights are fixed, you can say, we did that. We did that, everybody. So thank you so much. That's fantastic. So let's see. So we're talking about the beetles and the care of the beetles. So you want to put hides in there. I like to collect, well, you can use cholla wood, which I don't collect, I buy cholla wood, which is good for them, places to hide. I used to like to collect weathered sagebrush, dried weathered sagebrush, choking on it there. Things like that in there. You can use rocks, you can use various things, cork bark, whatever, different types of hides. And then for food, a lot of people haven't quite understood how much. Oh, look what we got. We got a couple more super chats here. We got one from Gabe. Thank you. That is awesome, Gabe. And Wanu. Is that how you say it? I appreciate your super chat as well. That's fantastic. So we can definitely get that light taken care of. Thanks to all of you. Really appreciate it. It's now up to $58.39 in super chat, so we can definitely get that light. Some of that's going to go to Apple because they take a cut, but with nearly $60 US dollars, I think we can make it covered. Even if they take their cut, we should have enough to get that light. So that is fantastic. So let's see, with the blue death finny beetles, we've got the substrate. We talked about temperature. We talked about moistening the substrate. We talked about hides and different things to climb on. They also climb on those things. And then feeding, I think one of the best things you can feed them is freshly killed crickets. And I know it's not fun to kill crickets, but you can do that, and that makes one of the best foods because it hydrates them as well as feeds them. And they do eat a lot of dead insects in the wild, so that will really help. And I would that is one of the main foods I offer. I do offer moistened dog food as well. I offer some bits of vegetables. It's good not to keep the not to get the sugar content too high. So vegetable bits of things like zucchini or something like that can help. They're not too high in sugars, and give them some water. I do offer some beetle jelly sometimes as well, but you don't want to do too much of the beetle jelly. And you can also do things like dried shrimp, fish food pellets, things like that. And they can, I offer, let's see, various other types of bits of veggies and things like that as well. And they tend to do really well. And okay, there we go. Hopefully that helps. So there are different colored relatives, Ramingo. There are the smooth death feigning beetles, which are a darker blue, and there are various rough death feigning beetles and so on, and some are more closely and less closely related. But like the smooth death feigning beetle is a close relative in the same genus. So there we go. Now catching up on chat a little bit here, and I do appreciate those of you who couldn't donate but wished you could, or were able to. The $11 million, I appreciate that, Misopods. Steve-O, I know I could count on you for some emotional support there, so I appreciate it. All right. That's a good point, 503. Yeah, if you have the choya and it is of a size that they could get stuck in the hole through the middle, splitting it is a good way to take care of that. Yeah, this is the funny thing. The one here that's making all this bright light on the side of me that is unbalancing and confusing the camera was I bought them as a set. So go figure. I don't know why this one's been going weird, but I will try to buy a highly rated one. And so destruction warehouse, you said something about, I missed part of it. Missed part of your chat. So can you tell me again the part you were talking about with the lights? Destruction warehouse. You said, serious though, they love helping channels like yours, and I highly suggest contacting them. And I thought I saw something else earlier about lights. So if you can let me know more of that, that would help. Oh, that's a good point, 503. The vacuum sealed fresh grasshoppers or crickets. Like, I don't remember which company produces those, but you can buy those in the pet store, and that's a good way to go too. They will eat some fruit, but you just don't want to be super high about, you don't want to get too much sugar to them, Flamingo. After, well, I've been growing this since 2007. So I've got a bit of a head start on you, I guess. Oh, and Steve-O, I still want to do that. Your proposal that you sent, still want to do that. We need to figure it out. Things have been a little nuts. So if we don't get it done this season, let's do it next season for sure. But I'm hopeful we can still get it going. But if we can't this season, I still want to do it. So I'm sorry that I've been too slow on getting that going. So snake lizards, your death feeding beetles live with some of your rattlesnakes and love eating their scat. That does make sense. Probably pretty nutritious for them. And you don't have to worry about the rattlesnakes eating the beetles because that's not really in their wheelhouse as far as things they eat. So that's awesome. So Nu, is there an isopod species you want to work with one day? Well, what I really hope is that someday we can get some of the species that are not going to pose any agricultural danger, like some of the Southeast Asian species that would die in just about any part of the United States, with the possible exceptions of places like southern Florida, and get those just exempted. And then I would love to work with some of those Southeast Asian species like the Marulinellas that I started to work with, and I did not do well with the Marulinella tricolors. They started breeding for me and then they crashed. I had at least 2 different batches of babies of different ages, and then the colony crashed. So I would like to maybe work with those at some time in the future. Yeah, and if you do want to breed them, that's a good point that Frank brings up. Like I do have a heat lamp on my side. What I have ended up doing, and that's what Frank proposes is one way to do it, and that's perfectly good. Um, but one way to do it, and what I have done, is when the larvae get about an inch and a half ish long, I take them out and put them into an incubator. Okay, so Mike Fernandez, you got ant colonies. Cool, Camponotus. Their name is Sansabianus, huh? That's cool. Um, I encountered, I was up at my brother's cabin, and my brother-in-law is what is the term? An arborist, a tree surgeon, something like that. Can't remember what the term is that he uses anyway. He works with trees professionally, and um, he can trim, prune trees, even very large ones. He climbs up them and does things like that. And if he needs to cut down a dead tree, he'll do that. And there was a dead tree near my brother's cabin. So my brother-in-law, while he was there, he brought all his equipment. We were at a family reunion all together. He cut down this dead aspen tree, and inside of it was a Camponotus nest. And I took photos of the nest inside it. It was pretty cool. Um, kind of fantastic. I don't have any ants right now. I have kept ants. I've kept the T. immigrans, I think it was, the species I kept. But this is like my oldest child, who is married and lives on his own with his wife, lives on his own with his wife. There's an oxymoron for you. What I mean is, he does not live with us anymore. He lives with his wife, 3 hours away. When he was a baby, I got my colony, and I had my colony for about 3 years. So from the time he was like less than a year old until he was almost 4 or something like that, I had my colony of T. immigrans. I haven't had any since then. I would like to keep some. I almost got an ant colony recently, but the person who was designing them was actually leaving to college and was about to design them, and I was in his queue, and then he said, "Oh, I got to leave to go to college. I'm not going to be able to do it." So the deal didn't work out. But if he ever gets back to doing it again, then I'm going to ask him about that and get him going on that. Okay, so Steve-O, I just read your comment there, and I will be sure to check your email, and we can reconnect about that. A black cat does count as spooky sometimes. Our black cat is spooky, but not in the way you might think. Our cat gets spooked at everything. We have one cat who is, basically not afraid of anything to a fault, and one cat who gets scared if you walk slightly too quickly in the kitchen. I mean, it's crazy. So our cat is spooked. Maybe that's what I should say. Any pointers on catching baby morning geckos? Got 3 little ones in my bib, and they're fast. They are fast, aren't they? Well, catching them in the vivarium is what I like to use is very small, like not super small, but small like prescription bottles. And I use them because they'll get out of some of when they hatch in my larger adult vivarium, they'll sometimes slip through the cracks or the edges of the vivarium, and they'll be up on the walls, and I'll use that to catch them and then put them in the small vivarium. But I guess that's not much of a tip when you're trying to catch them in the vivarium. um, so Wanderlust Farms, oh, good to see you here. Wanderlust Farm, maybe I'll see you at the expo. Sorry the Diablos didn't do well for you. I think I was missing something in their husbandry, maybe, that is not common to all the other isopods. Maybe we'll get that figured out. So Tobias, I don't think there's anything wrong per se with using limestone. Do you mean limestone is in like chunks, or do you mean limestone small chunks, in pebbles, in like gravel size? I don't think there's a problem per se with any of that, except for you can be with the larger chunks, it can be easy to crush the isopods. I don't think you need it necessarily. I think there's a lot of focus on things like limestone that aren't necessarily needed for isopods that they can do well without it as long as they get calcium in a different way. But yeah. So Ramingo, the death fainting beetle breeding cycle is not a mystery anymore. There are a lot of people who are breeding them. And basically what you do is you give the care that I described earlier, and that will, as long as you keep the lower part of the substrate moist enough, that will result in eggs, larvae growing up to, over an inch long, about an inch and a quarter and an inch and a half, somewhere in there. And once they get to that size, the easiest way to get them to pupate, or the most proven way, is to put them in an incubator with about 75 to 80% relative humidity at a temperature of about 88 Fahrenheit. And some other people use different methods. But if you do that, that will kick them into the pupation cycle. And there you go. And theropod hunters talking about Marullinella species Vietnam. I do have that species, and they're doing really well. Apparently, they are Sinodilo now, though, if I remember correctly. So Tim is asking about the Bilobella springtails. I haven't worked with the red springtails at all. What I'm really trying to do is focus more on bioactive stuff that I can ship, and I can't ship reds uh, because they don't come from the US. So I won't be able to ship them at all, and so I haven't gotten into them. I could get them in the state and keep them, I'm sure, but I can't really ship them. So I've been trying to focus my collection more on things that I can ship. So Yotaro, I have kept vinegaroons. I raised a couple of captive bred individuals from little vinlings until they were, essentially adults. And I do have another vinegaroon now, so maybe I can give you some help. I can try anyway. And Alex B, I've noticed that sometimes with some of the isopods that do really, really well, and then kind of the population gets really high, and the substrate gets kind of exhausted a little bit, that sometimes the springtails can disappear. You can often prevent that by refreshing the substrate more often and or thinning the isopods out, like splitting the cultures and things like that. That can help. Isn't that funny, Steve-O, that they're native to the Carolinas, the Venus flytraps? I've worked with those. I had one that I put into a dormancy cycle in my fridge and woke up the next spring, and so on. I've just found that I don't have an ideal place for them here. And it's too cold in the winter to keep them outside, so I have to put them in my fridge if I'm going to keep them. Um, so Yotaro, yours is an inch long, had it for a year and 8 months, and has never molted. Has been buried for 277 days. Hasn't eaten in that long. Wow. Okay. Pardon me. I haven't seen that particular thing. I've seen them be buried for a long time, like maybe November to June or something like that, but not 277 days. That is crazy. Not sure what to tell you there. Wow. Did you see the melanistic wandering garter we found up here in Cache Valley last week? It was so beautifully black. No. Tell me where I can see that. I totally want to see that. So let me know how I can check that out. Don sent me some pictures of some of his melanistic wanderings recently, which from Don's garter snakes, and they are beautiful. But I would love to hear about this one too. So Yotaro, my thoughts on this, and I'm not an expert on vinegaroons, but I have kept them, like I said, and I've had them go through molts and grow and different things, and so I feel like I can at least say something, even though I don't feel like I'm an expert. Is that I think, like there are some arachnids that will do this, where they will eat enough food so that they have basically filled all their requirements for an entire molt cycle in a short period of time, and then that molt cycle takes forever because they have already taken care of all that food, and they're just kind of sitting and waiting. They go into almost a stasis state, and I'm wondering if that's what's going on there. So I can't really say for sure, but I think I agree with what Frank said, that as long as it looks okay, it looks, like it's not losing weight and there's enough moisture, I would expect it would be fine. So Ramingo, if I can ever make it to a European reptile fair, I would be totally excited to do it. Ideally Germany or Italy. Okay, well, Italy would be easier for me because I speak Italian and I don't really speak German except for a few phrases, but I do speak Italian pretty well. So that would be where I'd probably go, because it'd be a lot easier to interact with people. It'd be fine to go to Germany, but I would just need to get a translator, and it would just be easier to go to Italy. So Wanderlust Farms, the red-sided I got from you are crazy eaters. They don't stop once they get started. Yep, they sound like their parents. They sound like their parents, so that's awesome. Hopefully they're putting on some size too. Okay, so Egg Cart Man, what do you think would be better for my crested gecko, powder blue or dairy cows overall? Powder blue or dairy cows? I think either would work. I know some people get really concerned about the dairy cows, but I have kept dairy cows with crested geckos just fine without any issues, and I know other people who have too. Seems like so. I would say if you have any concerns about it, just do the powder blues, because they're really not likely to do anything. I don't think the dairy cows are either, as long as they have food to eat. Just make sure they don't run out of leaf litter and things like that, and they should be okay. Powder blues are probably going to be a little bit less interesting as a food item and a little bit harder for the crested gecko to catch, if the crested gecko happens to be one that goes after isopods, because some will. So yeah, worth of. You could probably do either one, but those are some considerations to keep in mind. Dairy cows do breed really fast and get big. So Yotara, I would honestly leave it alone. I wouldn't dig it out. If you can see it, though, here's the thing. There's just one thing I was thinking about. Some invertebrates have a hard time molting if they are exposed to light. They need darkness for certain hormones to be secreted that cause them to finish their molt cycle. So if you can see it while it is burrowed, I might try doing something to darken the inside of its burrow, whether that's putting like blackout paper up against the side of the enclosure. I'm not sure exactly what your setup is, but if you can kind of think about that, what could I do to make the burrow, put it in total darkness and leave it there for like a month and just make sure it doesn't dry out and so on. You might actually find that it does molt. Now that we're coming on fall, it might not be until spring when it does, but that's what I would say. It's something to think about. I'm not certain if vinegaroons are one of those species that has that issue, but it could be worth some trying out. California beetle, hello. So theropod hunter, that is interesting. Your Porcellio scaber you're finding more prolific than your dairy cows. Wonder what's going on there. Same conditions essentially. Ramingo, parli tu l'italiano a quanto pare. Bello. Io ho trascorso un paio d'anni in Italia e ho studiato l'italiano pure qui, all'università. Oh, okay. So mysopods, I will reply to the email with my address. If I forget, just remind me and I'll do that. But I will get that 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 address for you. Hey, Wally. Glad to see you here, Wally. The tarantula is doing well. I think it's getting ready to molt. Oh yeah. Just quickly, everybody check this in the description if you haven't already. But just for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, Kyle Candilian from roachcrossing.com has a bounty out for original import of Punta Cana, descendants from the original import, obviously. Um, Bill Yanone line of Pennyback Gold. He's the one who originated the line. Or Porcelio Scaber Whiteout from Kyle himself. So all of those have to be pure line, not compromised. You have to demonstrate that. And he said the Porcelio Scaber Whiteout was $1,000 for 12 individuals. And I think the other two are the same or similar if you're able to provide that for them. Oh, bello Domingo, ti ringrazio. Spero che un giorno ci possiamo incontrare in Italia. And that's true. That's true, Steve-O. Patience may not be easy, but it's free. That's true. I like that. Oh, cool. 503. Sister-in-law's friend is an exotic pet vet. Awesome. All right. Have I actually caught up with the chat finally? I probably missed some, but hopefully I'm doing okay. I need to check and make sure there aren't any comments that I missed on um, Patreon too. I don't wanna miss out on that. I did start the live stream online last week a bit early. That's something I wanted to talk to you about as well. So Tobias, your orange koi have exploded. Awesome. I have some orange koi. I started a colony from Wally and it was doing really well. And then we accidentally introduced a ladder into the enclosure and a lot of them disappeared. Um, that was, of course, not on purpose. And then uh, the other thing was that, and so then Easy Eddie sent some more to add to the ones that I had from Wally. And they're doing better now, but I can always do with some extras. If you were talking to me, Tobias, that is. All right, so 503, have you found the first year's litter of garters is smaller? Well, I haven't been doing it for a super long time. I guess I've produced four litters of garters so far. Um, 4 litters of garters, yes. And one of them was very small. It was just one individual. It was a unexpected fall clutch. It surprised me. So, but the first clutch was 22 and one of them was stillborn. The second was 28 and none of them were stillborn. And the third one was 29 and one of them was stillborn. So over time, the trend has been increasing a bit, with the exception of those were the major clutches. The other clutch, which was between the second and third clutch, was just one, which I am assuming was from stored sperm because I don't think I had the parents together. So Domingo, if you could grow one of your bugs to dog or cat size, which one would you choose? So many choices. So many things to think about. I'm just kind of going through my head. Honestly, I think it might be one of the blue death feigning beetles because then I'd know it'd be pretty safe, would not be dangerous. Am I missing a donation? Because I see that Frank just said awesome donation, but I don't see a donation. But if I'm missing it, thank you. I appreciate for doing. I appreciate the donation, even if I can't see it. So hopefully, yeah, it would probably be a blue deathwing beetle because I know it would live a long time. It would be, its lifespan would be comparable to that of a dog or cat. It'd be pretty easy to feed, um, and it would be hardy. It would be pretty hard to damage. At that scale, we'd have to make some allowances for funky imaginary physics, but it probably wouldn't even be hurt if it got, you know, it'd probably be pretty hard to hurt it with that armor, assuming it could still walk with all the heavy armor. Um, but anyway, yeah, it might be that, and they'd be super cute even if they were the size of a dog or a cat. So Tobias, you have purple ghost or blue pigeon, but can't confirm which. Yeah, that can be the problem with some of these names. So Steve-O, yeah, the dwarf whites. I no longer culture dwarf whites. I have a few in some bioactives, but I don't culture them anymore. Hmm. Ooh, theropod hunter, philodendron species French Guiana. I wonder what that looks like. I have some Cebu blue that Heather sent me, and I love it. It's pretty awesome. Yotaro, that went across my mind too. A cat-sized jumping spider. I think that would be really cool. If they did happen to bite you, I think it would be a, it would ruin your day for sure. So that's why I hesitated there. But okay, yeah, Steve-O, I understand. I'm gonna be done in about 15 minutes here. If you need to leave a little bit early, then I totally understand. I'm not sure what happened there, Destruction Warehouse. Hopefully it's just a glitch and it's not showing up on my end, but it actually worked. But I appreciate it. Um, I just, I didn't see it for some reason. That's really weird. So Supreme Gecko, you're not in it for the, not into the dog or cat sized spider, huh? Wow, Gabe, you've got all sorts of kinds of philodendrons. That's pretty awesome. Huh. Well, hopefully it'll show up, Destruction Warehouse, and I appreciate it either way. How strange is that? So weird. Yeah, thrips, Gabe. I remember having to deal with thrips. Not quite as nasty as fungus gnats, but still pretty annoying. I wonder if you can use it to put. I wonder if catchies work for thrips. Well, everybody's got their thing, right? For some people, it's arachnids. For some people, reptiles. I was talking to somebody today, and she said, "Oh, I love spiders. I used to have a tarantula, things like that, but she can't stand snakes," which to me is totally weird. But I respect it. I don't understand it personally, but I get it because if there's anything that I have sort of a kind of a fear or phobia of creature wise, it actually is spiders. But I think I'm mostly over it now because I've also been always interested in spiders, and since I've kept a lot of spiders and so on, I think that's largely eliminated it. But it's just everybody's got their thing, and that's cool. So 503 said that too. 21 tarantulas, 3 scorpions, and a tailless whip scorpion to go. I think a cat-sized isopod would be pretty cool too. Be pretty innocuous. One issue would be perhaps maintaining the humidity it would be tricky. Um, I do think velvet spiders are super cute. I miss mine. I got a male, so it matured. I had it for a couple months after that, and then it passed away, which was really sad. But I would totally get a velvet spider again. I'm hoping to get a female velvet spider at some point again. Oh, so menagerie. Sorry to hear that your passed away. Was it a female or a male or what? So theropod hunter, you have a lamprey phobia. Interesting. Interesting. I don't think I had heard that. I had um, I caught a lamprey once, like not on a hook or anything. I just caught one in a cup or something when I was a kid. We lived in coastal Washington and coastal Washington State, and I found one or two, something like that, and we caught them and released them shortly thereafter. But very interesting creatures, very unusual. But did you develop that phobia because of exposure or not? And I can totally see what you're saying, Steve-O. If you can't afford the expensive care for an animal, then it's really not a great idea to get it. So that's a responsible approach. Oh, that's sad, 503. I think there's still a little bit of room for us to increase our knowledge of the husbandry of velvet spiders. I think it's happening, but I just don't think it's quite out there yet. Supreme gecko. Too right. Get an enclosure of dog or cat-sized zebras, isopods-sized zebras, you'd eventually get normal dwarf whites in there, and they would take over. So Ramingo, yeah, I think doing research and exposure and things like that really helps. Frank the Tank, banded crickets. That's what I've been breeding for years now. I bred house crickets for years. Not a huge fan. Banded crickets, especially in a bioactive setting, which is what I do now, are so much easier. They smell less. They're easier to keep. They're less cannibalistic. They're less likely to die. They're just there are two things I don't like about them more than house crickets. That is, they're more athletic in that they hop further, and their body size is a little bit smaller, especially the males. Their maximum adult size is just a little smaller. So it's annoying that they can hop out and get out, but their chirps are quieter, they smell less, they're hardier, they're easier to breed, less cannibalistic, all those things. So the spider boss, hello, looking to get some daemon species. Tailless whip scorpion, I can't find it anywhere I could get one. Check with, if you're looking for daemon species specifically, check with Kyle Kendillian at Roach Crossing and see if he has any left or if his supplier has any. I have the pair that I got from Kyle at Roach Crossing, and I can't think of anybody else who has any right now. And I don't know that Kyle does anymore, but he may, or at least have connections. So that's worth a shot. But he has actual Damon diadema, not Damon medius, which is the one that's usually imported these days, because the ones he got are captive bred. So the ones I have are captive bred too. I got them as fairly young whipplings, not as young as the first ones I got, which were really tiny when I got them. But it looks like I have a pair because one of them molted out looking very male. So I'm hoping that I will be able to breed them pretty soon. So Don Gallagher, yeah. I have one tarantula now. My wife said one tarantula is okay. The thing she has about tarantulas is that people get billions of them. So she finally said one is okay. You can have one tarantula. So I have one Dolichothele diamantinensis, and that's it. And I'm hoping that someday I'll be able to open my facility. And she's already agreed that once I have a facility that's not part of the house, I can have roaches in there, I can have tarantulas in there because it's not part of the house. And the agreement was not keeping them in the house. So even if it's on the property and it's just not connected to the house, I'm good to go. So that's what I'm hoping for. So Domingo, as far as animal phobias, I had the mild spider one that was also tempered with a fascination for them. It was never a really huge phobia. but I'm mostly over the spider one. As far as other phobias, I'm kind of claustrophobic, not great with heights either. In fact, during the family reunion that I was at recently, that I think I mentioned, my brother-in-law is an arborist, and he climbed up into this tree really high with his, his ropes and belts and harnesses and everything. And he said, "Do you want to try it?" And so I was, in the spirit of conquering my fear, climbed up these ropes up this tree and got up really high. So I was looking down, um, and I could see the roof of the cabin from where I was. I wasn't too much higher than the roof, but high enough that I could see the roof of the cabin, the top of it, and that was that was pretty cool for me because it was well out of my comfort zone because I'm not great with heights, but I did it and I felt good. And I actually later he rigged it up again in a different spot so that I could jump off the deck of the house on the ropes, swing out into the trees, and swing back. And I did that, and I actually had fun doing it and felt like I had made a step towards conquering my fear. So, not really related to creatures, but it is related to phobias. So I guess I can talk about that. So Steve-O, yeah, actually, Roach Crossing is based in Michigan. So I think I've missed some chats here, but yeah, we'll figure it out with the chat and the super chat destruction warehouse. And I'm just grateful. It's all good, whatever happens. So Don, I would love, absolutely love, an Aphonopelma calcodes. Um, that would be fantastic. So as soon as I get my facility set up, I will let you know because I think that would be awesome. I think an Aphonopelma calcodes is one of those that it tends to be out and about, and people can see it when it's an adult, especially, and hopefully help people get over their fear. The I've handled the wild males carefully in Arizona and absolutely love that species. Frank the Tank, I just saw a bunch of tiger beetles out in Arizona. Maybe you saw that in my video. And Supreme Gecko, what type of tarantula did you hold? I missed this. Oh, those pumpkin patches are awesome, 503. I hope your male finds a female. Have you used Spinder? I've heard about it. I've never used it, but I've heard about it. Spider Russ, Spider Russ. Yeah, it was really fun. I actually have a video of me doing it. Maybe I need to post that somewhere. Should I post it? I guess I could post it somewhere. Where should I post that? It doesn't really fit with the Instagram vibe. Maybe I could put it as a zinger at the end of something. Like at the end of my next Sky Island adventure or something, I could just put it there to see if people are watching the last 20 seconds. Because sometimes I'll put weird stuff at the end of my videos to see if people are watching the last 20 seconds. That would work. What do you think? Should I do that? Maybe I will. There was one part when I actually um, hung up hung upside down kind of on the rope. I was holding on the rope in my hand and put my head down, my feet up, and that was a little scary, but I did it. I've never heard of the Spideroificus big fangus, but that's pretty cool. So Domingo, you do see the subscribe catfish. That's awesome. And even after the catfish, I usually put like 20 seconds of something, and sometimes it's just something weird, just to see if people are watching. And then I put the links to, here's my Patreon, here's another video you could watch, kind of thing. Okay, there's the video in which Wally holds a tarantula. Awesome. I need to check that out. So, Clygon, what about axolotls? We have an axolotl. My daughter has an axolotl. Has had it for a number of years now. I'm not even sure how many years, quite a while. And It's an albino axolotl. Its name is Winry, and it's a male. It's been doing well for quite a while. It's in a 20-gallon tank in my daughter's room downstairs in the basement where it stays cool. And oh, I see what you're saying, Don. Yeah, it's addictive, but if you pick one, two, or three, like one, two, or three genuses or genera that you really like and only stick to those, yeah, that makes sense. I'm still kind of in the research phase. I love Aphonopelma. I love Grammostola. I love Brachypelma. There's so many that I want to get some of the ones where I could display them and people would be able to look and see, look into enclosure and see one without necessarily wanting to get it out and handle it, because I know that's not very safe for the tarantulas. But one that I could show to people and say, there's my tarantula, you get to see it and not look at it and see a hole and say, there's a tarantula in there, believe me. Or, a big pile of web, which I love my Dolichothellia diamantinensis and I love its web. And I think that's cool to show people. So I say, look at this crazy web. And actually my Dolichothellia diamantinensis is out sitting where you can see it quite a bit now that it's older, which is cool. But I want them to be able to see, here's what a heavy webber looks like, and here's one that doesn't necessarily web a whole lot, and you can see it too. So Ramingo, yeah, it's me. I did a little bit of computer manipulation with that voice, but I have to admit it when you ask. 12 of Phonopelma, awesome. This is the time of year when I can see a Phonopelma around my house. If I look carefully, we have a Phonopelma eodius here, and it's been a few years. It's been like maybe 5 years since I've seen one, but just like 5-10 minutes drive from my house, up in the hills here, it was a male, of course, out looking for a female, as one might expect, and I saw another one of those. I've only seen a couple in my life. It's not like you see them all the time, but I'm out in those places at those times where you might expect to see them, and I don't really see a whole lot of them. I don't think they're incredibly common here, but I have seen a couple. And they were both Aphonopelma eodius males in the fall. So I hope to see some. And Clygon, what's the care level of mollies? Mollies are, um, I would say they're easy, but they're tougher than some of the other live bears. They're not quite as easy as guppies and so on, just because they get bigger. So you want to offer them more space, and they tend to be kind of more vegetarian. So they like things like a lot of algae or other soft vegetation they can eat. But they will breed for you, and their babies are born really big compared to some of the other live bears. So as long as you have plenty of space and lots of minerals in the water, they tend to do pretty well. So I wouldn't do a 20-gallon fish tank with mollies, to be honest, unless you're doing some of the balloon mollies, which stay pretty small. You could do that. But if you're going to get mollies, especially something like a sailfin molly, you want to get a bigger tank. Some of the smaller mollies, you could probably get away with something smaller, like a 30, 40 gallon, if you plan on removing, extras and putting them somewhere else. So, oh, some killifish, huh? I've often been tempted to get into some killifish. They're very cool. The only tank without duckweed is the one with a molly in it. There you go. Well, there's some good duckweed control idea. Comfort creature style video or voice of one of your isopod colonies, just random pairs of pets of yours. Love to watch it. Ramingo. So what's a comfort creature style video voiceover? This sounds interesting. I want to know more about this. And I do have endlers. I have the blue star Campoma endlers, and they are beautiful. So I guess we are about out of time. I'm looking at the time and realized I'm actually over time, which is not great. So I shouldn't have, I don't like to step on other people's time there. But it has been fun chatting with everyone. I really appreciate your participation in the live stream, and I really appreciate the purchase. Um, uh, the purchase of this light that is over here on the dark side that you've helped me purchase, and Destruction Warehouse. It came through. I see it this time. See a $5 super chat right there. It says trying again as a test. If we get both, cool. So this time it showed up. Thank you so much. And now we can definitely get that light. In fact, I'm going to order it tonight. Thanks to all of you Really appreciate your help. And everybody take care. I'll catch you later.